Hey guys, I know it's a little late by this point, but I figured I should do a follow-up for my previous Stranger Things video, having now watched the finale. So let me just say right off the bat that for those that are comparing the final season of Stranger Things to like Game of Thrones, in my opinion, that is a gross exaggeration. It is not that bad, okay? Actually, I will say that the final episode was quite good, barring kind of two bookends that were the first half hour and the last half hour that kind of dragged ass. We'll get back to that, okay? Um, you know, this season, to be honest, all told, is probably my least favorite of all of them. Like, even, I know that season three I was a little iffy on, and not for nothing, I kind of want to go back and give that a rewatch because I feel at this point that, because that was the one where they really like took a step into darker territory, but like it didn't have like quite the magic. It's like when Harry Potter started to get dark and then David Yates took over directing, sort of that kind of vibe where it's like, okay, playtime's over. Now we're getting into some like heavier shit. So I think that maybe going back, I'll like it a little bit better. But either way, like the writing wasn't bad. In season five, there are points where the writing is quite atrocious. Actually, really kind of bordering on like sort of CW kind of vibe, like really teen drama-y kind of, and it just doesn't work. Like in the last episode I commented on the 5-minute scene where Will comes out of the closet, and it's like, did we really need that? And to be fair, also the scene with Nancy and Jonathan, where they think that they're moments away from death, and they basically decide to spend that time to break up with one another. It's just, did we need that? Did it really have anything to do with the story? And again, some of the writing is just bad. Like even Finn Wolfhard, who's a fantastic actor, you saw him like saying some of these lines, and you're like, ugh, like I could tell he had difficulty with that. So essentially, like the first, again, say like half hour, okay, the last season, we kind of dip back into the drama a little bit, and it's like, oh God, is this like really what the episode's gonna be? But I have to say that as it goes on, it does pick up substantially. I really do, as I mentioned before, like the sort of Wrinkle in Time arc about the whole thing. Everything leading up to the battle with the Mind Flayer was fantastic. I even like, you know what? They even gave Jonathan a purpose. He saved Steve Harrington, the one worthwhile thing that dude in the entire show. So like, I do appreciate that. Once the episode gets going, it like kind of does not stop. It just like amps up, and it gets more and more intense and more like, last minute with everything. I really did enjoy, and not for nothing, I liked the whole angle with like the Upside Down basically being like a wormhole connecting our planet to another planet, and that's like where the Mind Flayer comes from. So it's really like an alien. I don't know. I just thought it was a cool story. I don't know if it's derivative of something else. To me, it seems kind of original. Anybody knows if they base that off of something? Let me know below. But yeah, like the Mind Flayer's planet, and the fact that like they're battling all the baddies from like different perspectives. Elle is fighting Eleven, sorry, Elle is fighting 11. Elle is fighting Vecna, and Vecna is basically like the earthly link to the Mind Flayer, which I thought was really cool. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I thought for a while there that they were going to kind of do away with the Mind Flayer, or at least try to say like, oh, it was Vecna the whole time. It's like, what? No, that's a freaking cop out. I'm happy to say it was a real thing, and we get to see it in all of its glory. It's like a 2 dozen-legged spider crab monster in like a yellowy tinged desert planet. It was cool. You had Nancy rocking the full like Ellen Ripley, with that hair. It was kind of more like Rambo, but that was freaking awesome with the automatic, freaking just like the freaking machine gun just brr, 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 shooting at the thing, throwing like bombs at it and screwing up Vecna's equilibrium as Elle is fighting him inside. All of that was fantastic. Everything leading up to the battle was fantastic. I'm going to get into spoilers for those of you who haven't seen it. I don't know why you'd be watching a review now that it's been out for so long, but anyways, I will get into spoilers for the ending. I do like the fact that Eleven's death is kind of left up for interpretation. Now, me personally, I think she's dead. I think she's done. I think that the story that, what's his face? I think that the story that Mike tells at the end of the episode is really just kind of their own way with coping with her death and moving on. But I do like that they kind of leave that possibility open without ruining like the heaviness of her sacrifice. You know, I did appreciate that. I will say that as far as the other bookend of the finale goes, there was an epilogue that went on so freaking long, it puts Return of the King to shame. Like, and I'm gonna be real, man, there were scenes that we full-blown just didn't need. I mean, like, honestly, we didn't need to see, what's her face, Winona Ryder. Is that Joyce? I don't know. I think I used the wrong name in the last video, okay? But her and Hopper, like, getting married or him proposing to her, we didn't actually, like, need to see that. It was kind of hinted at through the whole show that that was the way things were going to go down. I think you could have done it in a way tighter, like, you know, quicker way. There was a point where it was like, I don't know, the first year after college or something, and it was like Jonathan, Steve Harrington, Nancy, you know, and all them, all the older folk, like, talking about, like, what they're going to be doing with their futures and stuff. As far as I'm concerned, that entire scene could have been cut. And even the final scene where Mike tells the story of Eleven, you know, making it out and shit like that, like, even that, I really like that they ended with the D&D, and it was sort of passed on to, like, the younger kids going into the basement and playing it. I thought that was all really cool, but that scene could have been trimmed. It just went on for way, way, way too long, you know, and it just really seems, especially given the amount of time that it took for this final season to come out, that the Duffer Brothers were really almost kind of like paranoid that they didn't want to give us like a Game of Thrones sort of ending, you know, so they're like, how do we do right by every single character? And while I appreciate that, they tried a little too hard, and it does show, okay? Now, again, I'm not saying that season 5 is bad. It's definitely not Game of Thrones level by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, like, where the characters end up, I actually found quite satisfying. It's just the way that we got there. They stuck the landing, but it was like a rocky landing. Like, there was a lot of turbulence here, you know? That being said, like, it definitely didn't ruin the show for me by any stretch. It was an imperfect ending, but it definitely wasn't the worst. And I am actually kind of excited to go back to the beginning and just watch the show the entire way through. I feel like a second viewing of the whole thing through is going to be a lot more fun than the first time around, but that's just me. So anybody out there, did you see the season finale for Stranger Things season 5? Let me know below. I appreciate you watching. Consider subscribing, and that's all she wrote.